मैंने कंसेप्चुअल बेसिकली फाउंडेशन मैंने डाला हुआ है। अगर आप उनको देखोगे आपको वास्तव में मजा आएगा। मतलब इकोनॉमी क्या होता है आपको वहां से पता चलेगा, मेंस की प्रिपरेशन कैसे होती है आपको वो से पता चलेगा। वो 2 लेक्चर जो है वो मैंने मेंस के लिए प्रिपेयर किए थे, लेकिन मैंने इतना अच्छा डिस्कशन किया, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि आपको वो लेक्चर देखने चाहिए। लाइव सेशन में उतना शायद मज़ा ना आए क्योंकि मैंने वो बहुत अच्छे से प्रिपेयर किए हैं, है ना। तो हाँ, आप उसको जरूर देखना, नेक्स्ट क्लास से पहले जरूर देखना, आपको बहुत मज़ा आएगा। बहुत सारे एग्रीकल्चर में, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में, इंडस्ट्री में, मनी एंड बैंकिंग में, बहुत सारी जगह पे आपको बहुत सारे कॉन्सेप्ट ऑटोमेटिकली क्लियर हो जाएंगे कि बैंक नेशनलाइजेशन किस पर्सपेक्टिव में हमने स्टार्ट किया था, पावर सेक्टर को हमने फोकस क्यों किया था, है ना, प्राइवेट सेक्टर को हमने कैसे फोकस किया था। बहुत सारे कॉन्सेप्ट आपको ऑटोमेटिकली क्लियर हो जाएंगे, ठीक है ना। ठीक है जी। तो कमिंग बैक, तो वी डिस्कस्ड दैट वी फोकस अपॉन द इंपोर्ट सब्स्टिट्यूशन which is also called as the self sufficiency, right? So this is also one of the pillar of the economic planning of India, right? So self sufficiency is one of the important pillar of the planning of India. Then we started focusing upon the basic and heavy industries. We gave primary role to the PSUs, and we also realized that this cottage and small scale sector, small scale industries, they are also very very important. Therefore we gave them the protection. While we gave the primary role to the PSUs, we had some restrictions on the private sector. These restrictions were in the form of licenses. These protection were in the form of licensing system. So the private sector was given the license, it was under the regulation, and it was under the license system, so that the government has a complete control over what is happening in India, right? So इंडिया में कितनी प्रोडक्शन हो रही है, कहाँ पे कितनी प्रोडक्शन हो रही है, वो सब पता चल सके सरकार को। इस चीज के लिए गवर्नमेंट ने लाइसेंसिंग सिस्टम अप्लाई किया। तो आज जब हम लॉकडाउन के टाइम पे हम बात करते हैं कि क्या लाइसेंसिंग सिस्टम होना चाहिए था, तो देयर आर सम एक्सपर्ट्स हु बिलीव कि बिकॉज एज ऑफ नाउ आज लाइसेंसिंग सिस्टम नहीं है, तो गवर्नमेंट को ये नहीं पता कि कितनी मासेस इंडिया में लाइक मास्क जो होते हैं, N95 मास्क या वेंटिलेटर या जो पर्सनल प्रोटेक्टिव इक्विपमेंट हैं, वो कितने किस इंडस्ट्री में प्रोड्यूस हो रहे हैं, कितनी प्रोडक्शन इंडिया में है, तो गवर्नमेंट के पास में पूरा आइडिया नहीं है। एट द टाइम ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस, थ्रू दिस लाइसेंसिंग सिस्टम, द गवर्नमेंट हैड द कंप्लीट डाटा कि इंडिया में कितना प्रोडक्शन हो रहा है, एंड एट द टाइम इट कुड हैव ordered any industry to do anything, right? So anyways, coming back, so these are the major features of themes. These are the major themes which were kept in mind while making different policies after independence. तो ये policies हमने बनाई, और इन policies के basis पर हम लोगों ने जितनी भी 1948 से और 1990 तक की policy वो हमने बनाई। In 1991 we realized that this import substitution policy is actually not successful, because of this import substitution policy we have been protecting the domestic industries. We are not giving chance to the foreign industries to come into India. Domestic industries have become less competitive. The productivity of the domestic industries has gone down, right? So there should be equal opportunity available to the foreign companies also. So we opened the economy, and this was called globalization, right? So as part of the globalization, we allowed the foreign companies into India through the FDI reforms. तो इसको जो बोलते हैं, इसको हम क्या बोलते हैं, FDI reforms. हमने 1991 में FDI allow कर दिया. We allowed the FDI, right? And we allowed the foreign technology into India, right? Because over the experience of around more than 40 years, India realized that we are now no longer under the threat of other countries. So before, like at the time of independence, we were really fearful that whether like if we allow too much foreign interference, then we can again be converted into some colony, है ना. जैसे ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी ने इंडिया को एक कॉलोनी में बदल लिया था, उसी तरह से दूसरी कोई कंपनी आ जाएगी और इंडिया को कॉलोनी में बदल लेगी. ये हमारी इंडिपेंडेंस के टाइम पे एक डर था. बट टिल 1991 दिस फियर वाज रिमूव्ड because there were a lot of international developments. There were two major countries, USSR and USA, and in 1991 even USSR went down and there was only one major country, right? So all these fears had went down. Basic and heavy industries. So over a period of over almost 40 years, we realized that these basic and heavy industries have been sufficiently developed in India, and these consumer durables like phone, car, fridge, they are very much scarce in India, right? तो उस समय पे आपको याद होगा, आज से 30 साल पहले आपके पेरेंट्स हो गए, अगर आपको कुछ याद होगा तो, कि उस समय अगर आपको मारुति कार लेनी होती थी तो आपको वेट करना पड़ता था कि 2 साल का बाद नंबर आएगा. अगर आपको लैंडलाइन फ़ोन लेना है तो आपको वेट करना पड़ता था कि 3 महीने बाद नंबर आएगा आपको, है ना. आपको स्कूटर लेना है तो स्कूटर के लिए आपको वेट करना पड़ता था, राइट. तो क्यों वेट करना पड़ता था? बिकॉज आवर कंज्यूमर ड्यूरेबल इंडस्ट्री वाज नॉट दैट मच गुड. सो इन द 1991 रिफॉर्म वी स्टार्टेड फोकसिंग अपॉन द कंज्यूमर ड्यूरेबल गुड्स, द कंज्यूमर इंडस्ट्रीज, राइट. देन third prime role was given to PSU at the time of independence, but till 1991 we realized first that sufficient contribution has been done by the PSU. Second, the private sector has also developed its muscle over a period of 40 years. Third, the PSU sector is facing serious issues in the form of political interference, bureaucratic inefficiency, and overprotection. All of these resulting into the losses in the public sector. So we should give equal role to the private sector also. We should give equal role to the private sector, and we should transfer some public sector undertaking to the private sector, right? So this gave the concept of liberalization and privatization. So we should liberalize the industrial restrictions, right? So we should reduce the licensing requirement. So this is called liberalization. And this prime role given to PSUs, now instead of PSUs the private sector should also be given the role, as well as this PSU should be transferred to the private sector also, like as per the situation, as per the circumstances. So this is called disinvestment or privatization. So disinvestment is transfer of any stake and privatization of transfer of 100% stake. अगर 100% stake ट्रांसफर हो जाती है तो वो प्राइवेटाइज हो जाती है, अगर 100% से कम होती है तो आपकी वो डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट होता है. ये आपका दोनों में डिफरेंस है, ठीक है. तो एफडीआई हमने ग्लोबलाइजेशन किया, प्राइवेटाइजेशन किया, लिबरलाइजेशन किया. 1991 की जो पॉलिसी है दैट इज द लैंडमार्क पॉलिसी इन द इंडस्ट्री, राइट. सो after that policy there have been huge progress in the consumer durable industry. Service sector grew very fast, and there were a lot of developments over a period of time, but still we could not achieve the dream of India becoming a manufacturing hub, right. In 2011 we came up with another major policy in the form of national manufacturing policy, right. Under this policy we established national manufacturing and industrial zones, NMIZs. These NMIZs, they were the industrial zones, and there was the concept of zoning. So suppose this is the NMIZ, there will be different zones. In one zone the labor is living, in one zone we have small industries, and in here we have the core industries, and we have the associated offices like office of bank, some government offices, right. So the purpose of establishing this was increasing the ease of doing business. An industry which is working in NMIZ, this will have single window clearance from the government, from the office which is established inside the zone only. The labor will be living here only. The labor will be provided the skill set, right? And there will be use of good technology, recent technology. For example, renewable energy will be used, right? The IT technology will be used. So all these facilities were provided. There was zoning. The land was supposed to be provided by the state government, and the central government was supposed to provide two things. One, 20% financing of the project cost, and second, the linkages with the other NMIZs. So if this is the one MIZ A, there is another NMIZ B. So the linkage through the rail, road, telecom, all those linkages will be provided by the central government, right? So this was the policy, and this policy actually aimed at increasing the share of manufacturing to 25% of GDP, right? This was the aim through establishment of the NMIZ, and the facts related to NMIZ we will see in the session itself. As of now, I am doing the conceptual discussion. Then after the government changed and the new government led by the Narendra Modi ji, it came up with the idea of Make in India. In the Make in India, the government said that we want to make India the global manufacturing hub, right? So let India become global manufacturing hub, and for making global India manufacturing hub, we will give special focus to the 25 sectors which include food processing, textile, and so on, right? Then we will also bring ease of doing business, single window mechanism. Then we will also establish new industrial corridors, right? And there will be many other initiatives which will be taken under this initiative, and over a period of time many initiatives have been taken, and this Make in India has been partially successful, not that much, because we can still see the share of manufacturing sector has actually not increased that much. Still it is just 16.2%. There is not a major jump in the share of manufacturing sector in the overall contribution in the GDP, right? After that, approximately in 2017, there was a draft industrial policy which is trying to harness, or which is trying to introduce the Industrial Revolution 4.0, IR 4.0 into India, right? So this policy has not yet seen light of the day. This policy is not yet implemented, but this IR 4.0 is actually focusing upon the infusion of major technologies like artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, all these technologies into the industry, right? So Industrial Revolution 4.0, which I will discuss in this session, that Industrial Revolution is being introduced into India with the help of this draft industrial policy, right? So this is the major conceptual discussion. So let us quickly revise the discussion that we did so far. So I told you that at the Britishers' time, major industries were located in the port cities. Indian industrialists, they were not so much strong, and there was systematic deindustrialization. At the time of independence, we chose to have import substitution policy under the self-sufficiency. Basic and heavy industries were focused. Prime role was given to the PSUs. Cottage and small scale industries were protected, and restriction on the licenses through the licensing system was introduced. In 1991, we almost reformed all of these themes. We introduced FDI, consumer durable goods industries were focused. Disinvestment and privatization was introduced. Liberalization was introduced. Licensing requirements were minimized. After that, the major policy came in 2011 in the form of National Manufacturing Policy. Here, the share of manufacturing sector was supposed to be increased to 25% of GDP, and the major vehicle was NMIZ, National Manufacturing and Industrial Zones. This was done under the zoning concept, and these were the major features focused upon labor, technology, and linkages. In 2014, Make in India was introduced. India was supposed to be global manufacturing hub. 25 sectors were focused. with the help of ease of doing business and new industrial corridors. Finally, in 2017, the draft policy was introduced, which wants to introduce Industrial Revolution 4.0 into India, right? So these are the major policy themes. Now let us see the evolution of industrial policy over a period of time. Now we will get into much more detail. Now that you are aware about the conceptual part, now you can see the major details here. So the first major industry policy resolution came in 1948. In 1948, this is called IPR 1948. It laid down that we are a mixed economy, right? We are a mixed economy, which means we will follow both socialistic pattern and capitalist pattern together, right? So prime importance will be given to the socialistic pattern, prime role will be given to the public sector, and the secondary role will be given to the public sector, private sector. Mixed economy and socialistic pattern. Protection to the cottage and small scale industries. Industries were classified into four broad categories, right? So there was fourfold classification of the industries. First was the industries which were exclusively under the domain of the central government, right? So यहाँ पर government की monopoly थी. कौन कौन सी industries थी? There were primarily three industries: arms and ammunition, atomic energy, and rail transport. So these are the strategic areas. First defense वाला है, second आपका atomic है, और third है rail. So masses के लिए transport provide करना, atomic energy which is very very sensitive, and third arms and ammunition which is important for the security of the country. These three areas were kept under the exclusive central government control, right? Second, mixed sector. Mixed sector मतलब जो आपके basic या key industries थी. So I told you that we want to focus upon the basic and heavy industries. So this included 6 industries: coal, iron and steel, aircraft manufacturing, shipbuilding, mineral oil, telegraph and telephone. So these were the key industries. Third, those industries which were kept under the private sector but controlled in the controlled way, means there were strong regulation in the form of licensing. जहाँ पर बहुत ज़्यादा licensing की requirement थी. So these policies, these industries were, for example, chemical, है ना? So these industries were introduced in the third category. The fourth kind of industries were which were under the private sector, and they were not included in any of the above category, and there were not much licensing requirement also, right? So these were the other industries. So 4 industry. First, exclusive central government. Second, mixed sector. Mixed matlab both private and public sector can work over here, and they are the basic or key industries. So first वाले में strategic sector है, second में basic industries हैं, third में controlled private sector, and fourth में आपका completely private sector में. Now in 1951, this Industries Development and Regulation Act 1951 came. Under this, License Raj was introduced, right? So License Raj कैसे introduce किया गया था? So there were 3 major controls under this act कि जब भी कोई इंडस्ट्री स्टैब्लिश होगी तो उसको लाइसेंस लेना होगा, है ना? सेकंड, द रॉ मटेरियल विल बी एलोकेटेड बेस्ड अपॉन द सैंक्शन आउटपुट. अगर आपका सैंक्शन आउटपुट है दैट यू कैन मैन्युफैक्चर 10,000, suppose you can manufacture 10,000 chairs. So for 10,000 chairs, accordingly you will be given the raw material. So you cannot buy any amount of raw material. You can buy the raw material only to the extent of 10,000 chairs output. Control over the prices. Even the prices were controlled. That what can be the sale price, that was completely controlled. So this licensing system was introduced in 1951, and this licensing system was relaxed in 1991. So there was almost 40 years life of this licensing system. Now this 1956 resolution was the major resolution, right? And this was based upon the PC Mahalanobis model, who was a very famous statistician, right? So this PC Mahalanobis actually said that India should focus upon the basic and heavy industries, and those basic and heavy industries should be placed in the public sector domain, right? So under this theme, in the second 5-year plan, we introduced this 1956 industrial policy resolution. So there was focus upon the heavy industries, and these heavy industries will be established in the backward region. Why? So that they can develop the backward regions of the country. They can develop the roads, power, they can develop the basic infrastructure in the backward regions. So you will see the power plants, steel plants, oil and natural gas plants. Most of these big plants are located in the very backward region, remote region. Why? Because number one, the source of raw material is from the local area, so the cost of transportation is minimized. And secondly, it provides job to the local people. And third, it develops the infrastructure in the local area, right? So it gives connectivity to that area with the big cities. So this overall development of the area happens when the heavy industries are located in the backward regions, right? Recognize the significance of the foreign capital, right? So although we were following the model of self-sufficiency, import substitution, at the same time we realized that we required the foreign capital to establish these basic and heavy industries. We required the foreign technology also. That is why we took the help of countries like Britain to establish our steel plant, etc. Right? Private sector role was important. At the same time, licensing policy were adopted to control the private sector. The four-fold classification of the IPR 1948 was changed to now three-fold classification, है ना? तो पहले 4 पार्ट में हमने डिवाइड किया था, अभी हमने इसको 3 पार्ट में डिवाइड कर दिया है. Now we have converted that into the three part. First is Schedule A, Schedule B and Schedule C. Schedule A के अंदर those industries which are strictly coming under the central government. Schedule B के अंदर both private and public, and Schedule C के अंदर open to private sector but subject to licensing, right? So Schedule A, Schedule B, Schedule C, these 3 schedules were introduced in the 1956. After this, in 1973, 6 core industries were identified. These 6 core industries were iron and steel, cement, coal, crude oil, oil refinery and electricity. And they are also called as the infrastructure industries, right? So when you will listen to the planning chapter, you will know that at that time the government focused upon the infrastructure sectors, right? And special concessions and relaxation was given to the infrastructure sector. Therefore, the 6 industries were identified and they were given the special concession. PPP was given the emphasis and called the joint sector, in which the partnership between the central state and the private sector was allowed. So public-private partnership was also opened up in the 1973, so that the private sector efficiency and private sector capital can be mixed with the welfare objective of the public sector, and both can come together to contribute to the big industries, especially the infrastructure like road, port, etc. Foreign Exchange Regulation Act FERA 1973 was enacted due to severe crunch of foreign exchange. So we also enacted the FERA Act, which controlled how much foreign exchange can go out of India and how much foreign exchange can come to inside India. India also allowed limited investment by the MNCs in the country. So the limited FDI was allowed, right? So we can see that the small relaxation in the foreign investment to the private sector, those started much earlier in 1973 itself, and the final boost was given in 1991, right? So it is not that the 1991 was the only year. Even before that, the government, whenever government realized that there was some requirement of change in the policy, the government kept changing the policy accordingly, right? So government kept changing the policy accordingly. Now okay, any doubt from anyone as of now? किसी को कोई डाउट है अभी तक?
नो सर।
ओके वंडरफुल। मजा आ रहा है सेशन में?
यस सर।
सर इस ड्यूरेशन एक तरह से हेलो
सॉरी
सर टॉपिक से एक अलग है सर। हेलो
हाँ जी
एक स्टेज जो आया था तो स्टेज स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन सर वो
सॉरी एसीजेड
इकोनॉमिक जोन
स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन ना, तो अभी हम बात नहीं करेंगे उसकी, अभी हम बात नहीं करेंगे, अभी बाद में बात करेंगे उसको, ठीक है ना?
ठीक
ओके वंडरफुल, ठीक है जी। तो 1973 तक ये हुआ। उसके बाद 1977 में क्या हुआ? तो 1977 में द न्यू गवर्नमेंट केम, जनता गवर्नमेंट, which focused on small scale and tiny industries, है ना? The main elements of this new policy were that they defined tiny unit, they focused on the close interaction between the industries and agriculture, they focused power generation and transmission, and the emphasis was given to the village industries. This policy statement is not so much important. In 1980 public sector was given, again very important role. Some licensing relaxation were given, and competition for infusing the competition, the technology upgradation and modernization of the Indian industries were focused, and we also started focusing upon the foreign investment. In 1991, okay, wonderful. So now you can see what are the major features of all the pre-1991 policies. 1991 तक की जो policies थी उसके मेजर फीचर्स क्या क्या थे? तो मेजर फीचर थे प्रोटेक्शन टू द लोकल इंडस्ट्रीज फ्रॉम इंटरनेशनल कंपटीशन थ्रू हाई इंपोर्ट टैरिफ्स एंड अदर सॉरी दिव्या प्लीज म्यूट योरसेल्फ, देयर इज सम नॉइज आई कैन हियर. Okay, so to summarize, major features of all the 1991 policies were: number one, protection to the local industries, right? So we gave the protection to the local industries. We focused upon the import substitution. Second, promotion of import substitution, control over the Indian industries through licensing, restrictions on foreign capital, encouragement to small scale and cottage industries, and more emphasis on the public sector industries, right? So I have already discussed about each one of them, that why each one of these themes were kept in mind, है ना? तो मैंने आपको बता दिया है, लॉजिक बता दिया है कि गवर्नमेंट की ऐसी मंशा क्यों थी, गवर्नमेंट ने ऐसा क्यों किया, है ना? नाउ न्यू इंडस्ट्रियल पॉलिसी ऑफ 1991